Welcome to It Comes in Pints, a Seattle Study Club podcast where we will explore a myriad of topics: clinical, health and well-being, psychological, education, business, and much more. I'm your host, Greg Tice.
So I'm Haroldo Magarinos. I'm a formerly trained dentist and periodontist and oral surgeon. I'm also trained in naturopathic medicine and biological dentistry. And I've been trying to improve people's microbiome status for quite a while already, working around the microbiome. I became a medical advisory board for microbiome labs. I've been consulting for them for many years and evaluating thousands of microbiome analysis. And also, I am the co-founder and lead scientist at DetoxU, which is a company that it's dedicated to improve the awareness and also support people's challenges with the current toxic load that we encounter on a day-to-day basis.
All right, so I would like to welcome everyone to the latest episode of It Comes in Pints, a Seattle Study Club podcast with your host, me, Greg Tice. This summer, this fall, we're doing something a little different. We're going to be having conversations with everyone who's presenting at Symposium this coming January. And one of the exciting Friday keynotes this year will be Dr. Haroldo Magarinos. And I hopefully didn't butcher that too terribly.
It was amazing.
Brilliant. So let's start with your background. You're a periodontist by training. When did dentistry become the thing for you? When did you know you wanted to go into dentistry?
That's a question I have never answered to myself. I don't know what I was thinking, but I definitely wanted to do something health-wise, and I was kind of like that person that wants to manage his own schedule and not being forced to do night shifts and things like that. So I got accepted both in medical school and dentistry, and I decided this is the best way to practice because I can create my own schedule and be my own boss, and I don't have to do anything else I'm required if I go through the standard medical route. And honestly, it was that at that moment. I over the years became way more significant, but the decision came as a convenience decision.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, the decision's the decision, so that works. But at some point throughout your career as a periodontist, you placed implant, you did full scope perio work, implants, etc. But at some point, you became very interested in naturopathic health. How did that come about? Talk to me about that connection.
Yeah, so the passion of becoming a health practitioner in general was to answer questions. I'm a very curious person. I'm almost nosy in a certain degree. I love to know everything about everything and understand how things work. I love physiology for that part. I love to connect the dots between different organs, different pathways. And that, of course, was one of my ultimate questions, how these things are connected. The mouth, the rest of the body, the microbiome, all these things are in some form connected to each other. And also my belief initially that was proven right down the road was I think these are also relevant for understanding root causes in mouth disease. And that became, of course, a journey that also was very eye-opening.
Okay. So let's make this clear for our audience. You're going to be presenting at Symposium in January 2027. Your area of expertise and what you're presenting on is the connection between the gut microbiome and the oral cavity, the oral systemic connection, however we want to put it. Given that, and I forgot to do this earlier, so I'm going to do it now, the idea behind this podcast is for this to be a conversation. And like you and I are sitting in a pub. That's why we call it Comes in Pints. To do that, we have to bring a drink with us. So I completely spaced it, but we'll do it now. What did you bring to drink with you this morning?
This is new for me. Besides my coffee, which it's a must every morning, and I'm not endorsing coffee. Not saying that's great for everyone. I love it. I get a really good one, by the way, a good quality one. I grind my beans and I do my whole ritual in the morning, very early. Probably that's the kickstart for my day, and also to get out of bed. I think that the idea of making my coffee gets me out of bed. But recently, I start drinking through the mornings this one, and
Mango Gold.
Yeah, I know the flavoring is not probably my favorite thing in general, but it comes with a spore that's a very known spore called Bacillus subtilis D111, which is used in some of the probiotics I recommend for people who are struggling with some gut health issues, but also it has turmeric and elderberry and a lot of organic fermented botanicals that are really good for your gut. So this is kind of like my hydrating routine after drinking my coffee, because of course you can't just stay with coffee alone throughout the day. So I bring a lot of things. I like watermelon water, and I like coconut water, of course, but this has become a thing over the past few months. My son always brings me some new stuff he gets where he works, and this was one of the good discoveries.
I'm going to have to try it. Mango Gold. Well, because I knew who I was speaking to this morning, I did have my cup of coffee earlier. So, and I don't know if this will be approved or not, but I'm having tea now, but I'm having a licorice root tea, which I don't know if that helps my gut or not, but I know it helps my throat. So
has so many benefits. Licorice is fantastic.
Brilliant. So first, cheers.
Cheers. I have it in my cup, actually.
All right. So now the question, and I want to riff right off of what you just said, because you said you can't have coffee all the time. You almost said it like it was a guilty pleasure. Is coffee bad for the gut? Is there an issue there, or am I okay drinking coffee?
No. Depends on who you are and what your challenge. I believe that's not for everyone. Of course, if you're having adrenal issues or cortisol response, if you're struggling with some kidney function and you can't reabsorb your minerals properly at this point, there's a lot of reasons why you should avoid coffee. And of course, and first and foremost, if you're gonna drink a shitty coffee, don't do it. Please don't. It's just as bad as
no, I'm with you
drinking
there.
soft drinks or worse. It's one of the most contaminated products that we have in the world. They spray so much stuff with on coffee beans that it really matters how you're sourcing your coffee. And the other thing is very prone to oxidation. So you want to have something that is kept in the right way, in a nice container. I have vacuum sealed containers. You want that also to be hopefully avoiding sunlight exposure, and grind your coffee beans ideally just before you're going to drink it, because that preserves all the antioxidants, all the things that you're really looking for on the coffee that are beneficial, the polyphenols there, which are fantastic, by the way, for brain health and gut health. It is actually a prebiotic. There's some unique bacteria that can use coffee as a food source. So as long as you're able, you can handle it, it's fine.
Okay, so I did not expect this to go in this direction, but this is great. Well, we're going to come back around to some other stuff, but I want to stay with coffee for just a second, because obviously so many people drink it. One of the things you mentioned was sourcing it correctly. So if the label says organic, am I fine? What should I be looking for a coffee that isn't loaded with toxins? And we'll get into your expertise around environmental toxins for sure.
Sure. So like everything else, actually, you have a checklist to get the best quality, cleanest sourced products, and that includes coffee beans, of course. You want shade-grown coffee first and foremost. The reason why is because if it's not shade-grown, means that the farmers are already cutting trees massively around the coffee beans, the coffee plants, so and they to get that sunlight, and that has some benefits in terms of the production. But the problem is that they're destroying the environment. When you want to do regenerative organic farming, you keep everything as it is. Also, the high altitude brings some benefits to the soil that will be passed to the actual plant. So you get more nutrient density and some things that are beneficial for you. Organic, of course, is a must, but organic labeling, especially when it comes to USDA organic labeling, is quite limited. It's not even near from what will be the equivalent in Europe, that is BO or bio. They check way more things than what USDA organic checks for. But it's at least a starting point. But the soil, of course, it's critical. And so when you do regenerative, which is one step further, now you know that you have more preservation of the soil, more nutrients coming into the soil, and the ecosystem around the soil also will take care of some things that can be detrimental for human health. All things considered, that's where I get my checklist. And single origin is something that is just a personal preference, because it's easier to trace what they're doing in one place than in multiple places at the same time.
Right. So single origin, shade grown, high altitude, at a minimum organic.
Yes, at a minimum organic.
Okay. Brilliant. So you're now I know how to shop for my coffee. So, but I am like you. I'm in Seattle. I'm a coffee snob. I will never go to Starbucks ever again. I hate that place. So they're obviously not sponsoring the podcast.
Or you lost the sponsorship opportunity right now.
It's all gone. It's all gone. But we do grind our own. But now I'm going to start looking for that single source high elevation. Your specific area of interest, in particular, around the gut microbiome, which we mentioned a little, but it's around toxins, environmental toxins, and their effects. Talk to me about this connection between environmental toxins and the microbiome.
Well, that's probably one of the most fascinating topics I've been digging deeper in the past, I'll say 5 years, more consciously, more intentionally. I always knew something was wrong. Here's the reason why. Because when you look, and I had that opportunity in my life, which was not intentional at the beginning, but it happened. I've seen more than 5,000 metagenomic analyses for analyzing the gut microbiome in my life. That's a significant number. Yeah. And that gives you a database, a mental database and you start looking at trends and patterns that unfortunately most people will not see. They overlook those because they have not seen as many. That first and foremost was a very important piece of the puzzle. But down the road, and actually very early in my career here in the United States, I was looking also at toxicological panels that will arrive in my desk randomly. Heavy metals, some environmental toxins, mycotoxins. They were not really requested by me first, but some other very smart practitioner will order them, and the patient then afterwards will bring it to me, and I will compare them side by side with the microbiome analysis. And I started realizing that the connection was there all the time. Every single time I was seeing this dysbiosis, also there was a significant challenge in the toxicological burden. So now I start doing this intentionally. Now I requested both at the same time and put them side by side. And still there. And the moment I started addressing the toxicological burden, I start seeing significant improvements that were beyond the ones I was getting before just addressing the microbiome alone, in the microbiome. So
Okay.
that made a difference. So this was, of course, my train of thought. The microbiome gets heavily impacted by toxins. Fixing the microbiome will not fix toxicity. But I realized also that supporting the microbiome while I was doing detoxification support was much better in the detoxification outcomes than just doing detoxification on its own.
In parallel. Okay.
So I put them both together, and that's when the magic happened. And that became, of course, my narrative around gut healing, that if we want to really and profoundly support gut, the gut microbiome and the gut health, we need to also remove the disruptive blocking agents that are coming from the environment on a daily basis, which are, by the way, extremely abundant. It's not like we get a few things here and there. We get hundreds of toxins on a single day basis. That is concerning. And when I start testing more people, and now we have a lab here in San Diego, we have a mass spectrometry lab where we do our own analysis and start testing my daughter. At that time, she was probably less than 3 years old. And again, off the charts, some toxins detected. And she was eating fully organic, breastfed for 2 years. Like everything that I could do to support her, still I was failing in avoiding everything that I wanted to avoid for her health, her future. Oh, so again, those ha-ha moments and those eye-opening situations were significant enough to start doing what I'm doing right now. But I'm a scientist. I'm a formally trained doctor. I did 12 years of university training. So I'm not going to just experiment and try to do things randomly. So through an entire year of RD, we were able to put together what we're doing right now, because we wanted to do it right, and we wanted to do it also with a simplicity approach in mind, because I don't know you, but I hate taking capsules. I'm the worst capsule swallower ever. I don't like them. It's against my philosophy. And then when I was recommending protocols for detoxification to my clients, they were, you have to take 20 capsules twice daily. And it's like, yeah, that's how it is. I don't have any other way. And I hated it. I really didn't like it. I wanted to tell them, no, this is going to be super simple. It's going to be smooth and easy so you can be compliant and do your life otherwise very normally. And that was not the way I could do things at the time. So yeah, we have all these things in mind afterwards. But the truth is that at the beginning, it was all by a chance, by coincidence, at looking at this information, just connecting the dots.
Yep. So obviously, a lot of our listeners are dentists, clinicians, or their team members who have had some exposure to the microbiome and its importance. I have two sort of general questions, really almost for me personally, but I think of interest to a lot of people. One, if my microbiome is out of whack, if it's out of balance, if it's not where it should be, what are the consequences potentially, or what are the most common consequences? And two, if you can tie that back to its connection to the oral cavity, what's going to be happening there in particular? Let's take that as the next step here.
Yeah. So the the gut microbiome first. It's the hub for connecting the dots between the environmental exposures and everything that's coming internally in our body towards our immune system. So it reads information in a massive way, and it's building that database and sending signals to the immune system so the immune system understands what's going on. If you think about it, the immune system doesn't have eyes, ears. It just needs that input. And on a genetic level, we are very deficient. We have 22,000 pair of genes in our cells. So we're not really processing information in massive amounts. But the microbiome has 3.3 million non-redundant genes, that they understand so many things way better than we do, and they are able to pass that information very efficiently when it's in the right balance. When, of course, it's dysbiotic. It's a different conversation. Um, with that in mind, also, it's able to ferment and utilize certain nutrients that we are not able, and this is really a big piece of the conversation about carnivore diets and ketogenic diets, that where they're focused mainly on what the human cell can use, but there's a vast amount of cells coming from the microbiota of the gut that they're able to use the things that we don't, and they produce things that otherwise we won't be able to produce in sufficient amounts or without creating side effects. So we need that input for providing all these molecules like short-chain fatty acids and neurotransmitters and so on and so forth. They're huge for GLP-1 regulation. That's super right now trending, and metabolic health in general. But again, probably one of the most important parts is the immune system balance and the modulation of the activation of the immune system. The oral microbiome is the second most diverse microbiome in the body. Therefore, it brings a lot of input to the gut microbiome because this is a receiving point. This is where you chew your foods, when you understand in the first pass effect what's going on outside. You get a lot of microbes and different things from the environment that are modulated here. And then when you swallow saliva, which we do constantly, we swallow a liter of saliva a day. We swallow 140 billion microbes every day. We bring those into the gut system. Now, we don't bring those things mostly alive. They're getting killed. But we can read the cell walls and the genetic fragments from those microbes. And that it's by itself all we need for understanding what's going on in the outside world. So there's a constant communication between the microbes in the mouth getting exposed to whatever is going on outside and whatever we're eating or putting intentionally in our mouth. Imagine a baby, just as an analogy.
Yeah.
Putting everything into this mouth all the time is bringing tremendous pieces of information all the time to this microbiota. Now swallows that and goes directly into the gut, and the gut analyzes this and learns, oh, this is not bad, this is good, this is a nutrient, this is not, this is a threat, we should do something. It's mounted responses accordingly. If you miss that training, of course, that creates a profound impact in that person's health down the road. We know that actually children that are getting their pacifiers sterilized compared to the ones that are not getting those cleaned up very diligently, the ones that are getting the pacifiers sterilized, they typically develop more allergies and other immunological issues down the road than the ones that are not getting, or they're getting all these microbes and dirty things. I'm not saying go just don't care about your baby's hygiene, but to a certain point,
let them play in the dirt once in a while.
Actually, I believe Finland or Iceland. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. They're now taking out all these rubber how do you call this the floors,
oh,
the
like
flooring,
the playgrounds,
yeah,
the
playground
tires.
Yes, thank you. And they are now replacing that with dirt, so kids are actually playing in the dirt.
Yeah,
so
makes a tremendous amount of sense.
This is your seating, your receiving area also has other very important functions, which of course more detailed, but this is a very important area that connects to the gut profoundly, and both are talking to each other all the time. And the gut microbiome just creates the efferent action, the actual input towards all the other systems in the body. It's a beautiful, like probably anciently developed system we created. We're a symbiotic organism in many ways.
Yeah. I wish we're not done, but I wish we had more time. I could talk to you for 6-7 hours. So there are three areas I want to cover. Two you brought up, and then I want to dive into the third area and talk about Detox You and some of the other things that you're doing personally. But you brought up both the special diets, whether it's carnivore, vegetarian, whatever it happens to be, and GLP-1s. So let's start with the topic du jour, GLP-1s. Is there an interaction with the gut microbiome? Are there issues with taking it? Is it beneficial? What are your views around that?
I'm not going to be probably the most popular guys with saying what I'm going to say, but I will say that everything has, yes, a place and time. I think these things are useful in certain situations. But it's not the magical therapy that will treat everyone and give benefits to everyone. Because GLP-1 activation, actually, it's a very fine-tuned system in the body that works around something called AMPK pathways that it activates sirtuins, and it has a lot of benefits for us in fasting times, especially. But it's also blocking other pathways in the body that are equally necessary. So we have this beautiful dance between GLP-1 activation and then blocking GLP-1s for the other part of the process, which is more on the repairing mode, on the building mode, or the protein synthesis mode that is critical for staying alive and healthy. So typically these pathways, they are activated back and forth within hours. So that allows things to stay active for a significant amount of time in terms of physiological needs, but not too long that will block things that are also needed to be accomplished on a daily basis. GLP-1 agonists, as in the form we're using them right now, they keep the GLP-1 momentum going for days, which is completely against the physiological normal. It's not what the body used to do normally or naturally. So my concern always, and you will hear me saying this a lot about many things. Nature did not design our bodies with perfection. And if you're a man of faith, you will say God created the body with perfection. But at least we can all agree that nature brought our systems with a certain level of fine tuning and balance that it's unmatchable. And when we start interjecting and interfering with these pathways, a lot of things can go wrong because we can't, in any type of artificial input, consider all the different branches that are aligned to certain pathways. It's too massive to put all this all together. So what happens is we interact with one pathway, the body needs to adjust hundreds of other things happening at the same time to alter its ways and around this very strong artificial input we're providing. So we don't see that, but that's a very important form of stress, physiological stress. So
Okay.
And there's so many things we can do to achieve the same results, respecting these physiological pathways. And one of those things is actually diversifying and improving the status of our microbiome. That alone has more positive, long-lasting, safer results than just creating this very strong input with one peptide used on a single day basis.
Than taking a shot once a week, right?
Yes, or once a week, or whatever dosage you're using.
So would that be probiotics? What's the methodology there?
So when first we have to do two things. We have to work on the microbiome, and we have to work on the environmental settings where the microbiome lives. So for the microbiome itself, we have beautiful support systems like spore-based probiotics. I mentioned before, I'm part of the medical advisory board for Microbiome Labs. I love their products. I love their testing. But there's more companies, of course, that they're doing a really good job. And these spores, what they do is they use the quorum sensing ability that most bacteria have, and they can read the environment and start producing molecules accordingly to the environmental microbiome needs and adjusting things to make it more diverse, more efficient. So you put those things in place while you're also working on your diet. And when I'm talking about working on your diet, I'm not looking at increasing amounts of things that we eat on a daily basis. It's more about spreading out a diverse type of intake of different nutrients throughout the month. You see Japanese culture, for example, they don't put massive amounts of anything in their plates. But they respect seasons. They love the quality and sourcing of their foods, and they eat small amounts very consciously. Also, they're very good for sitting down calmly and eating things with consciousness, which
Right.
is something you just drive a few miles on the road and you'll see three people already eating burritos while they're driving in the traffic. And it's not a good way of eating at any level. So all
Yeah.
things considered, I think that we're missing chances to improve our physiology, our health in a very simplistic, inexpensive, and very effective form just by introducing some things that are missed or changing habits that are unfortunately so embedded in our culture.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so let's talk about Detox U because I think you touched on the diet there as well a little bit. So, you are the founder and scientific advisor for Detox U, but I want to put you on the spot a little bit here because conventional wisdom says that detoxing cleanses, right? Juice cleanses or lemon juice, whatever it is, that they've been relatively well debunked, I believe. But talk to me about this and how is what you do at Detox U, how is detoxing environmental toxins, how is that different than a juice cleanse?
Well, it's a very important differentiation in terms of what we do, and some other companies are doing really good jobs, a good job in taking care of these things too. But um, we I think we took it to the next level in a few things. But the most important thing to understand, detoxification is something that happens every single day of your life inside your body. It's not something we bring from the outside and will happen whenever we are trying to achieve something. It's something that is in an ongoing basis, working 24/7 to keep you protected. And it's a very efficient system and entangles many things like, of course, how well your mitochondria are performing, how well your organs are mobilizing things and working around clearing things out of your blood, out of your tissues, and how we mobilize things on the circulation in the circulatory system, how fluid it is, if you want to call it that way. Your lymphatic system drainage, how optimized it is, how things are, how well we're mobilizing things from that perspective, how much inflammation you're getting. Are you the guy who's sitting at the desk all the time, not moving? Are you eating processed foods all the time and bringing all these chemicals? Are you bringing inflammation to your life, or you are supporting your immune system? Those questions are critical. But whatever you want or not, detoxification happens. What we realize is when we understand how these cells and receptors and organs work all together in this big system that it's called the detoxification system, we can use some natural elements that are known for providing inputs towards those receptors, those cells, those pathways to improve it, to optimize it. It's all about optimization. It's just checking the boxes of every single step of the process and going back to the literature and with all these natural compounds, looking at which ones are more efficient to upregulate the process without going beyond physiological capabilities. I'm not talking about are going to cross the line and do something, are not going to make your Volkswagen run as a Ferrari. That's not really sustainable. Probably it
No,
will
I'm going to
break at some
continue to be
point.
a Toyota Corolla.
Yes, exactly. We're gonna break it. So no, that's not the point. The point is that that input supports the activation of these pathways, creates awareness, and that it brings more efficiency into the system. And so I went back to the literature, worked with two food chemists also that support my work, and throughout the entire year of RD, we look at the most efficient molecules that can bring that input for our body, for our cells to perform better. So we have a fighting chance to cope with not only 10 or 15 of the toxins that our grandparents were dealing with on a daily basis, but with the hundreds of toxins that nowadays we have in the environment. The United States alone produces 85,000 chemicals a year, hundreds of tons of chemicals sprayed in our farms and fields and even around our cities. And that's not avoidable anymore in the big extent. So we can do our best for avoiding, but we also have to understand we won't be able to avoid everything. It's in our tap water, it's in our carpets, it's in our buildings, it's everywhere. Whatever is natural or man-made doesn't matter. Our body has to deal with those things regardless. And so
Yeah.
we are in higher need of optimization. That's what we're doing.
I think it's interesting. And one of the reasons there's a nice connection between what you're doing in Seattle Study Club is, if I understand correctly, you guys not only have product that people can use for detoxification and for helping their gut microbiome, but you also do testing. And then the, for lack of a better term, treatment plan is individualized or customized to that individual. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Full transparency, we're not offering the test yet to consumers or practitioners. It's going to happen hopefully very soon, a few months from now, but it's still on the final phases of certification. We are aiming for CLIA CAP certification, which they provide the highest standards for good
Hmm.
practices in our testing system, and it's what we want. Of course, we're doing everything with a lot of consciousness around how important quality and solid scientific background matters for getting things done. So, with that in mind, we still, of course, we are able to test internally, and we can create more knowledge and bring more questions actually on the table. Is this something relevant? Is we see this? We're seeing this way more than it was expected. It's something we should be focusing on more, or what better tools we can bring to the equation to improve this, etc. We have a lot of information coming on a frequent basis that we can use for improving everything we do. But it's exciting because we develop a very novel technology for testing, which is proprietary, so I can't really talk about it much, but it's a secret. But you know,
That's a, you could tell us in January.
yeah, I won't, but still, but it's a cool novel technology we brought into the equation, so we're able to test and detect things with a way better sensitivity than the average, and that is on its own something we wanted to achieve because we saw some needs on that spectrum, and so yes, we're putting both pieces of the puzzle at the same time. We're giving support, but also we give information upfront. So at the very least, with that information, you can be more mindful. Hey, I'm seeing a lot of I don't know phthalates in my report. Maybe I should check my soap or my body wash or some of the containers where I put in my food, something like that. It can give you some direction where you can pinpoint things that are bringing more toxins into your daily life.
All right. Final question as a takeaway for our audience. If if you could recommend one change that we should all do right now, whether that's take a probiotic, eliminate plastic, the world is your oyster. What's one thing I should do that's going to help me right now?
I say this to my wife all the time. That's one thing I want people to do all the time. Read the labels. And if you don't understand what you are reading, do not eat it or buy it. Seriously.
Okay. Yeah.
Read the labels. Or even better, take a picture. Ask ChatGPT or your favorite AI platform. We have so much information. We live in the informational era. Everyone has access to information. I still remember the amount of time that is spent in the library trying to find something, one paragraph in all these books. Right now is a prompt. It's a search. It gives you all the information up front in seconds. Information is not a problem right now. If we're not using it wisely, that's our responsibility.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for spending a little time with us. I am very excited to have you join us in January at Symposium. I think people are going to not only get a lot out of your program, but the fact that you're there with us a number of days, they'll be able to sit down and visit with you and pick your brain a little bit. And I think this is a good community fit as well. So thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in January.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure talking to you.